What else is new, my friend? Besides what I pray, can't find no work, can't find no job, my friend. Money is tight, and so my bed. Just don't understand what's going on from this land. What's happening, brother? What's happening? I want to know. Still get down when we used to stay. You think they have to change? Tell me, friend, how you mean? Tell me what's up. You know what's it? What's the deal? What's the deal, man? What's happening? What's happening, brother? What's happening? What's happening, brother? I wanna know what's happening. What's happening, my man? Been gone a long, long time. Now I'm back on the scene. What's happening, brother? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, brother? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
All right. All right. Welcome. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Conrad. It's been a while, and so I'm very, very happy to be back with you this evening. I promised that I would come on this evening at 8:15, and I will not be on a long time this evening. One of the things that I forgot was that we have some final housekeeping that we have to do. We've had a very dedicated group of clergy persons working with the campaign for a long time. I had a very, very dedicated group of ministers, and so I'll be with them this evening at 9:00. But I wanted to come on to talk with you, at least initially. When I was growing up, there was an old saying, we don't duck wreck. I don't duck wreck. And so one of the great things I learned about leadership is that leaders face the moment. Whatever that moment is, leaders rise up to the occasion and they face the moment. And as you all know very well, that I have been a staunch defender of Mayor Adams. I have been an advocate of his candidacy. And I have actually, quite honestly, I have really been touting victory. And I obviously believe in him as a man. I obviously believe in him as a brother, as a friend, and more importantly, in this context, I believe in him as a chief executive. And he did a great job in this city. However, he decided that he would not continue his campaign. And because I have so much respect for him, and I also realize how difficult his journey has been, and not just on the political front, because the political front that's one front. But I'm speaking tonight as I think about our brother, and I'm asking folks to pray for him and to lift him up in prayer, and to think positive thoughts for him. You know, there will always be people who, like the braying of an ass, have something negative to say about leadership. But anybody who's actually been in leadership knows that it's very, very difficult to lead people. It's very difficult when the buck stops with you. It's very difficult to be in a position of leadership. particularly when it comes to African Americans. Our people can be some of the most critical, the most difficult people to lead and to work with. And so anyone who is celebrating or making mockery or spiking the football that Mayor Adams decided to step out of the race for reelection, number one, that's a sick individual. Number two, that's an individual that's probably never been in leadership. And so I won't waste a lot of time with them other than, there's some people they're just maladjusted. They want attention. They generally speaking have a very low self-esteem, and they find a great deal of self-esteem in tearing down others. Well, I would just say to people like that, and I might as well add those politicians that have delighted in squiring around Zoran Mandami, those who were, treacherous in terms of riding with the mayor during good times, but when it became difficult, they abandoned him. Eric has accomplished something that you will never accomplish. Okay. And first of all, Eric is fine. Eric has, I don't know how many pensions. He was a dedicated police officer. He walked the beat for 20 years, earned a pension. He went into the legislature and whatever pension he has from the state. And then, of course, he taught at CUNY. And then, of course, borough president and mayor. So this really isn't about a man who's out of a job or will be out of a job, or a man who is in dire straits, because he is not. In fact, he has achieved something that 99.9.9.9% of Americans will never achieve. And that is, he has become, he served as the mayor of New York City. And of course, like the president of the United States, that's probably the only bigger job. And so it's easy to sit in the bleachers and make mockery of somebody that has to do something and manage something that, number one, you couldn't even aspire to. Secondly, you never could have achieved it. And thirdly, you never could have handled the pressure. And I think he's handled the pressure with grace, with tremendous poise. And I really salute him. I walked the streets of Brooklyn with him in his first campaign back in 1992 against Major Owens for Congress. And I'm very proud to say that I walked the streets of New York City with him in this particular campaign, perhaps his last. Once you reach the milestone of mayor of New York City, it's very hard to go higher. Okay, I think Giuliani has found that out. I think Mike Bloomberg has found that out. But there's certainly life after. And Eric is a young man. He's a very vigorous, fit man. He has a strong, loving family and supporters, and he will be fine. But what I'm really concerned about is the Black community of New York City. And I think this was a moment for us to show, and I'll talk more about this tomorrow. I'll be on for a full broadcast, and I'm going to analyze the people, the players, the situations. But let it suffice to say that this was a moment for Black New York to step up to the plate. It was a moment for the elected officials, the pastors, the business leaders in our community to step up to the plate and demonstrate that we were worthy of these positions. One of my mentors was Percy Ellis Sutton. And I remember when he encouraged me to apply to Harvard, he wrote letters for me at the Kennedy School and the Div School. But he always talked about penetrating institutions that we had been excluded from. I remember when Governor David Patterson became governor, and in 1 week he released a whole bunch of scandalous stuff about himself. It was clearly an unforced error. And I remember talking to Mr. Sutton about how frustrated he was that David had started out his term with that kind of faux pas. And his point was, listen, everybody has scandal. Everybody has dirt under their fingernails. Every ethnic group that has run City Hall, that has run Gotham City, that has run New York City, the Irish, the Italians, the Jews, all of these ethnic groups have had political scandals, corruption scandals. I mean, again, New York City produced Tammany Hall, Boss Tweed, the mythical figure. I mean, you name it. There were so many corrupt leaders in the history of this city. And for the only mayor in the history of New York City to ever be indicted to be a black mayor, that shows you that there is a racial dynamic to this. And that wasn't so bad because there's been a long documented history of black elected officials facing greater scrutiny. Ask Fonnie Willis, ask Tish James, and there'll be more. There will be more. There will be others. And the list goes back, years to the early 1970s when we began to make a push for black political empowerment. But the worst part is to see black people shrink and flee, run from the mayor, and more importantly, use that as a talking point to justify their lack of support for him. And I can only say that I don't have a whole lot of respect for a lot of people in public life, black, white, brown, otherwise. I don't have a lot of respect for a whole lot of people in the public realm, preachers, politicians, you name it. But I have a great deal of respect for the elders. And I find it very ironic and interesting that when Mayor Adams was indicted about 7 months ago, there in the rain, standing with him, was the Reverend Herbert Daughtry, who remained with him to the end, and the late, great Mother Hazel Dukes. And they stood with him. They stood by his side in the face of uncertainty. You never heard one of them talk about he's corrupt. You never heard one of them say that he was in Trump's pocket. You never heard one of them abandon him. And Mother Duke said, let the process play out. And of course, the process played out. Eric was never charged. But again, this system and the people who perpetuate the mess, and I can't say it's racial in this instance because it's a lot of black people that participated in this foolishness. When you are convicted by a jury of your peers and you are convicted of a crime or you become a felon, they tell us that you are a felon. Why am I a felon? They say because you have you've had the process has played itself out. You've been convicted of a crime. You have been found guilty by your peers. But what I notice about white folks and what I notice about, in this instance, black folks that wanted to justify supporting white folks, that Eric's no charges filed against him. Or rather, the charges that were filed in a politicized environment. Biden said that the Justice Department was politicized when he lost and Trump's people came in. We know that Tish James's prosecution is politicized. We know that what's happening with Fonnie Willis and arguably what they both did was political. But for some reason with Eric, no, it's not the least bit political. There's nothing political about it. There's nothing other than he's just grimy and guilty. And yet he has no charges that have been filed against him under the current Justice Department. The case was dropped with prejudice, so it can't even be brought back. First, black people said, well, it's dropped without prejudice, so Trump can bring it back anytime they want. Then when it was dropped with prejudice, you did not hear anything from them other than the continued sort of dim-witted, self-hating, slavish murmuring against this man, as we've seen so often against Black leadership. And so I wanted to come on this evening to say that Eric ran the city in an exceptional way. You will hear politicians saying that. You'll hear the media saying that now. You heard politicians beginning to say that, and now after he's dropped out, they will admit all the good that he did in the city, and it's a shame. This was purely a failure on the part of New York's Black leadership. There's a failure of vision. Okay, the fact that they could not see how important this race was beyond Eric, that they could not see the many tentacles in which Black people were enriched and empowered under his leadership. That's a vision question. And they also, and this is for those of you around the country, one of the things that you have to understand about New York is that it's an ethnic city. And in many ways, the Southern Black immigrants and people who came from the Caribbean, obviously there's been a long history, like New York, like Philadelphia and Boston. New York has had a long history of free Blacks, but it wasn't until the early beginning of the 20th century that you began to get millions of Blacks coming into New York, and then later throughout the 40s and all the way into the 70s. But for the most part, Black people in this city have largely been disenfranchised. They have not known the political power. They've not run departments. They have not run areas of government the way many Blacks in Southern cities have done for at least 50 years. Since the end of the 1960s, the Civil Rights Movement gave way to the Black Power movement, which gave way to a golden era of Black political empowerment. New York has largely not seen that. We got a Black mayor in 1989, and Mayor Dinkins was largely a captive of the good old boy ethnic network. He kept many of Koch's people. But Eric, on the other hand, Eric put Black people in significant leadership positions. He put Black people over billions of dollars. He put Black people in strategic positions. And so for us not to see this beyond Eric, it's not Eric's trial. This is what these snipers, this is what these silly people online, these deprived people, these unfortunately people who haven't had exposure and don't know better. These people who are covetous of their own little position, running around trying to be Zoran's nigger or Cuomo's nigger, trying to see what position can I get with Massa Cuomo or Massa Zoran. What they don't understand is the failure to support Eric simply shows that the Black community of New York is not sophisticated enough to be able to handle power, because we penetrated City Hall, but we gave it up. We gave up power willingly. We gave up power without a fight. We surrendered. We said, we are incapable of doing it. And so some have said, just go get Massa Cuomo. We know Massa. We knew Massa's daddy, and we know Massa. Just go get him. We feel comfortable with Massa. And then others said, well, let's try this new young Massa. Even though he's 33 years old, has less life experience than most of these people who grew up in the hip hop era that are getting knees replaced, hips replaced. These are people, women in their 50s and 60s, running around like they're teenagers in the Zoran gentrifiers revolution. And so it shows that we just simply did not have the vision, the sophistication, the intelligence to put our own interests first. When one of our paisan held a seat and shared the power with people in our community. I've often said it. Michael Garner, black brother from Harlem, was over $25 billion minority business, MWBs. That's not going to happen again. That's not going to happen under Zoran. It's not going to happen under Cuomo. Okay, so we blew that, and I don't have time tonight to go into it. Tomorrow I'm going to go deeper into it. All the other positions, we blew that. We gave that up. We surrendered. So are you happy? I hope you're happy because you Eric is gone. We got Eric. Eric is gone. I hope you're happy. I hope you understand the ecosystem that you destroyed. So we proved that we were simply not worthy of leadership. If you're not worthy of leadership, if you're not responsible enough to handle leadership, then you should not have it. You should be ruled over by others. The other thing that we demonstrated was that we don't have the unity. There was an unprecedented empowerment of Black people politically in New York 4 years ago. And it sort of came together, this unprecedented amalgamation of Black power in New York City. You got the Black Attorney General, Tish James. Hakeem Jeffries rose to become the highest ranking Democrat. Eric Adams was elected mayor. You got borough presidents in all of these different boroughs. You got people in the legislature, the speaker in both the House and the Senate, Black folks. And they're promised to be a sort of renaissance of empowerment of Black people. But we showed a lack of sophistication because they didn't work together. Half the time they were not even speaking. And when trouble came, instead of them coming together and saying, how do we hold on to this power? Everybody ran for the hills. Everybody literally wanted to see Eric lose position. This one went with that one. This one got quiet, didn't take a position. Well, let me predict to all of the Black elected officials who sold themselves out. Eric did not have one Black elected official endorse him. Let me just say to you, you made a deal with the devil. And it's only a matter of time. Let me predict a domino theory. And the next domino to fall is either Hakeem Jeffries or Letitia James. And there will be a precipitous and steady domino, falling dominoes of all of the Black elected officials that lack the sophistication, intelligence, and the ability to come together when there was unprecedented power in the hands of Black people. And their fall is not going to happen at the hands of Trump. Some of them will fall at the hands of Trump. But their fall will take place at the hands of the Democratic Socialists of America. And that's the party that Zoran represents. It is a party of gentrifiers. It's a party of racists, gentrifiers. I've seen what they've done in central Brooklyn. I know what they do. I know how they come into the community, disrespect the community. I know what they do. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I'm telling you, those of you who have not seen it, but for some reason you lack the courage and the vision and the unity to say, hey, I don't care who's running. We are in power now. Our paisan is the mayor. We don't give that up. We don't cut deals with other people when we see unprecedented Black employment in city government, unprecedented Black contracts, unprecedented Black leadership. You know, I was talking to a preacher the other day, and there's been a spate of firings of black people in the police department. Eric Adams appointed the first black woman to be the police commissioner in New York at the beginning of his administration. Pardon me. And then the first Latino. Then when he got in trouble, the black community scrammed. Black politicians, black leadership. About 300 black preachers under the leadership of Pastor Gil Monroe, about 300 of us came together and told the governor she better not take Mayor Adams out of office. She had the power and the political will because the black elected officials abandoned the mayor. And she gave him a list of people. Now, he had put all these black people in office. And she gave him a list of people that he, in that weakened position, he put some of those people in office. And one of the people, I believe, I don't know for certain, was the police commissioner. And she's cleaning house. And so there's been a spate of firings of black officials. Now, I heard preachers complaining. I hear this one, that one complaining. But what they lack is the intelligence to see that when you didn't stand around him, when you let the governor come from Buffalo and you act like your name was Bennett and you weren't in it, when you didn't vociferously, when you didn't powerfully, when you didn't unequivocally stand with your mayor and say, we back him, then it put him in a weakened political state. And so if he has to put people in office that the government recommends, and that person runs the department the way they want to run the department, who do you blame? You blame the mayor that had placed all of those blacks there, or do you blame yourself? Because you had an opportunity to push the governor and Cuomo and Zoran to push them and back them up off of the mayor and say to them, don't even think about taking advantage of this momentary weakness. We stand with him and we will never, our pulpits will be closed to you. You just resigned in disgrace. You're not going to slink up to us and try to think that we're going to open up our pulpits to you. Had we taken that position 7, 8 months ago, we would not be in this position. And so the Bible says where there's no vision, the people perish. The Bible says if the blind lead the blind, both fall in the ditch. And what I came on here tonight to tell you, and I got to go in a minute, I'll be back tomorrow, is that we really have no one to blame but ourselves. Because Eric ending his campaign is not a reflection on him one bit. He fought a great fight. He governed extremely well. He ran into a whole lot of political problems. Number one, COVID. He was elected in the midst of COVID when the worst mayor of the city of New York, Bill de Blasio, the dope smoker, the dope from Park Slope, handed him the key. There was crime in every area of life in New York City, okay? There were shootings on the subway. I mean, people were being, burned alive. It was terrible. It was like Soylent Green, the movie. And Eric beat the city back into shape, brought crime down, got guns off the street, brought the murder rate down. He has done a great job, built more housing than Bloomberg and de Blasio in 5 terms in his one term. And you will see, you will rue the day that you did not stand and support this good mayor of the city of New York. He was a good mayor for many communities, and some of the other communities did not back him. I was very proud as I traveled with him throughout the city to go up with him to Muslim gatherings, immigrant Muslims, Africans, and those from Pakistan and Bangladesh. I went to him with the Jewish synagogues. I went with him to Hindu temples. I saw him with Russians and many, many groups. And I really believed he could have won this race. I really do. Because his coalition was so broad. But I think, and I can't say for certain, what hurts the most is when the people that you have empowered, the people that you have worked for 40 years. I had two preachers call me today, two wonderful preachers, the great Pastor Bishop Victor Brown in Staten Island and Dr. James Kilgore of Harlem. I mean, they are some of the great ministers that stuck with the mayor all the way. There are more I'll talk about tomorrow. But I had two, and I won't mention their names. I had one old Baptist minister call me today and one Muslim minister. And I cursed both of them out bitterly. Okay. I said, because first of all, don't call me with that Uncle Tom behavior. And I don't care how many X's you got behind your name or how many degrees you have. You're nothing but an old slave looking for somebody to rule over you. And for you to call me, of all people, and try to scoff at this black man that fought for our community, well, I think you know now you called the wrong person. And so I'm telling you, black people, we have made a tremendous mistake. We will rue the day. And I'm telling you, and that's why I'll tell these ministers in a few moments, the ones that stood with the mayor, they have nothing to be ashamed about. Because if you're a black leader and you did not stand with this black leader, then you have invalidated your black leadership. And I'm talking about those that were opposed to him, and I'm talking about those that sat on the sideline and didn't take a position either way. Your days in leadership are numbered. You set in motion the disrespect of black leadership in the city where you lead. And as you could not find a rationale or justification for Eric's leadership, you sowed the seeds among your own followers that they will not be able to see a justification for yours. You set that in motion. Leaders set that in motion. And, finally, you were just deceived. The wool was pulled over your eyes. You were bamboozled. Yeah, Spike Lee, you were bamboozled. Whole bunch of people, just silly people, 50, 60, 70 years old, just silly, hype beast, as the young people say. Some of you have no reason at all to not have supported the mayor, but you just got caught up in the hype. And it's sad when people reach a maturity and a vintage and they are still susceptible to passing fancies, trends. Well, girl, everybody is with him. Girl, did you see his social media ad? It's a shame that intelligent, mature people that come out of a context of struggle would have been so gullible to have been drawn in to that kind of play. But Houston, New Orleans, Atlanta, DC, Chicago, all of these cities, you look up to New York, but you really shouldn't, because we are not the equal of you politically. We are unworthy. We can't carry the shoelaces of Washington, D.C. We can't even carry the jock strap of Atlanta, Georgia. We are unworthy. We have to go back to school and learn what Black political empowerment is, because this is the most glaring example of an unforced error where a people, and I don't want to take a hard position on the people, because I'm not certain that the people abandoned the mayor, but I know the leadership did. And some of that leadership is very young. Some of them, Zoran, for example, was not even alive during the crack era. And many of the people in the city council and the legislature, they're very young, okay? Many of the Black elected officials. Some of them are immigrants. Let's deal with that part. I mean, there are people representing Black districts that have come from outside of this country. They have a diasporic situation, but they do not know about the struggle for Black political empowerment in this city and in this nation. And it is unfortunate that we have empowered a lot of people who have the perception of being Black leaders, but they're really not Black leaders. They're Black people who are in political offices, but they have no concept, no understanding of Black people skillfully coming together and maintaining political empowerment. And so they delighted in finding reasons not to support Eric. A number of them are actually afraid of the DSA, and the DSA is going to take many of them out. Okay, and again, slavery. Eric said it today. Slavery messed us up, and it's true. I mean, just to be in political office and to say I don't need people, to be a Black minister and say I don't need anybody. This is why we are in a position that we're in now, that we had unprecedented political power. And now we've lost a major, major pillar in that power. And I believe that Hakeem Jeffrey's days in the Congress are numbered. I believe that if he endorses Mamdani, he's finished nationally. In fact, we're playing checkers. The Republicans are playing chess. They actually want Mamdani to win. They have already cut the ads. And just as they effectively used the trans ads to great success in 2024, they already have the Mamdani ads queued up. And they're going to use those to win back the Congress, and they'll use them to help win back the presidency. And if Hakeem supports Mamdani, he will be finished. And that's the danger of allowing a group like the DSA to overrun the Democratic Party. And I've been telling Hakeem for 4 years, if you don't fight them, they're going to crush you. And I'm telling you, all the rest of you, one domino has fallen because you did not support him. You have sown the wind. Now you have to reap the whirlwind. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. And tomorrow I am going to go into great detail about why we have ended up at this place. I'm going to talk about the racial dynamics in New York City, that we have never reelected a Black mayor. I mean, you could not have had a more unqualified person than Bill de Blasio. They are still talking about the millions that he and his wife allegedly disappeared. I don't know anything about it. I'm just telling you what they say. I'm telling you what I've read, what I've heard people talk about. But when it came time for re-election, Black people got in line and re-elected Bill de Blasio. And after 5 terms of Republican mayors that actually made New York the safest big city in America, starting with Dinkins' term, and then 2 terms of Giuliani, 3 terms of Bloomberg. And in 2 terms, de Blasio almost took the city back to the 70s and to the crack era. But you still voted him back in office. But you didn't vote Eric back in office. Well, he was corrupt. Well, Dinkins was never accused of corruption. You didn't vote him back in either. And what did Eric do? I mean, I'm going to end on this note. because, you know, first of all, black people love to talk about other black people. Black people love to criticize other black people. That's trite. It's tired. It's corny, but it's just what we do. Slavery messed us up. You know, it's a crab in the barrel mentality. You know, I can't aspire to be anything, but I sure can tear people down. And that's what we do. And so, Eric, you put the jacket on him that he was corrupt. What did he do corrupt? The mayor of New Orleans is considered corrupt, but they got videotape of her with her chief security. And they've been able to show where they were at dinner or they were at the mayor's residence when the man who was a police officer who is on the clock saying he's working and they got him sitting there with a glass of wine. They have reams of film to show corruption. Trayon White in D.C. I ain't casting no aspersions, but they got pictures with him with a man passing him cash, and he's going to obviously say not guilty. He's got a defense, innocent until proven guilty, but they got evidence, something. The sister out in Illinois, reams of evidence. Bob Menendez, gold bars in his refrigerator, cash everywhere. You haven't seen one shred of evidence that Eric did anything, but you just ran with that narrative. Because at the end of the day, for some of you, you had no reason for wanting Eric to drop out. At the end of the day, you realize he did a good job. But at the end of the day, when you suffer from self-hatred, when you have a dis-ease with your own self when you look in the mirror, and when you look on television and you see somebody who's black in a position of authority, it just disturbs you that much. You don't think about the children and what it may have meant to them to see someone black in that high office. You didn't think about all the people that are employed and people with contracts and people running departments that have never happened. That's never happened with black people in this city. All you thought about was, I want to wipe that smile off his face. I want to change. I don't want him. And so now this brother has said, you know what? I did my work. I think I did a great job. I think history will reward me. I'm stepping out. I'm moving out of the way. And so now what do you have left? What do you have now? What does the future hold for you? I know some of you intelligentsia, some of you Negro leaders, you're angling for positions. You're just sure you're going to be the next this or that. You're just telling Cuomo what you want to be. You're telling Zoran to position you. You're salivating. Jamal Bowman, all these people. And let me say this, though it will be utter suicide for the city of New York to let these people in the DSA and their supporters get anywhere near City Hall. But I must say, Cuomo's bullying tactics, he has driven Carl McCall out. He's driven David Patterson out of office. He has driven Charlie King out of office. And now his basic strategy, I know those blacks. My father knew those blacks. I know enough of them. I'll drive a wedge between them and the mayor. And then my white privilege, I can prevail upon the business leaders to go with me rather than Eric. And I'll just drive him out of the race. And that's what he did. And so we have a choice between Beelzebub and Satan. We have a choice between an empty suit, an emperor with no clothes on, and someone who plays the black community like a grand piano. And you watch some of these smug people that were online saying things against Eric, disrespecting him. They won't even peep when it comes to Massa Cuomo because they're terrified of him in Albany and downstate in New York City, because that's what a slave mentality does. And so we are in a very difficult position. And I quite honestly don't know what I will do, but I do know this. A good man has led this city for 4 years. And that good man said today that he's had enough. God bless you, Eric Adams. God bless you for your work as an activist. I'm going to talk about Reverend Sharpton's show. I was disappointed in Reverend Sharpton yesterday because Eric, Reverend Sharpton, myself, we know each other in ways you all will never know Reverend Sharpton. We've been in the trenches with each other. And as a leader in the community, if you don't empower others, you've also sown the seeds for your own destruction. And so that's it for tonight. I wanted to come on to let all of the naysayers, one fella, Corey McGee, said, check on Conrad Tiller. No, check on you, because I don't have a slave mentality. I'm a man, always have been, always will, and I'm a proud black man. And one thing you'll never see me doing is undermining black leadership. So as Brother Ice Cube said, check on Corey Pegues, because he really needs a checkup from the neck up. But he's not the only one. And I'm not going to waste my time on that. But I came on tonight to let you know, and all of you, that I am proud of the stance that I've taken. You, on the other hand, to your ever-dying shame, should reevaluate and grow from the weak position that you've taken. That's it for tonight. I will talk to you again tomorrow, same time, 8 o'clock. That's it. Conversations with Conrad.